So we are live, and today, well, tonight, we have the first keyboard player in the series. We have been really lucky, fortunate to have known this guy ever since he arrived in Los Angeles, and it's always been great hanging, and we are part of a little group of musicians from Los Angeles that we actually get together and we try to solve the problems of the world. We have these nice conversations and we get together. Actually, you know what? When every election, we go and we get together and then we go over all the details, all the propositions and all the. But besides that, besides being a great citizen and knowing what it takes to be a good citizen, he's an excellent and very, perhaps one of the most influential keyboard players in the scene today. This is the great Dennis Hamm.
Thanks for having me, OTMARO. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's always great, man. We do go back quite a while, and you told me you come from a place called Bakersfield, right?
Yes, very distant land from Los Angeles.
Very distant. Actually, it's on the way when we drive from San Francisco. I mean, from Los Angeles to San Francisco. You
stop there to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, we stop there. We have to stop there. No, actually, I did some gigs in Bakersfield once.
Where did you play?
I forgot. It was a long time ago, but they had a venue, very nice venue, and I did a little tour, mini tour in San Francisco. We did some of the dates around San Francisco, and then, going there, I think we stopped in Bakersfield, and we did. The difference between real interviewers and me is that they go in detail and they tell you everything about the childhood and about what went on with this gentleman, but we're gonna let the music dictate this conversation. All what I can say is that he is being in the forefront of what's really going on in terms of having a personal approach to the keyboards, and that spans a lot of aspects, from sound production, sound programming to the actual playing. So we're going to be talking about this. But how about if we start just playing a tune?
Sounds good.
Okay? Great. Ah, okay. It's like that, huh? Well,
Interesting mix of tones there with the acoustic and
well, completely unexpected.
yeah.
Actually, yeah, we were supposed to use the Fender Rhodes. I thought it would be a better mix, but I'm having a little bit of a noise. I have to detect it now. But this is quite nice, actually.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. At least on my end.
Well, what can I say? There's so many things that when we first met out there in the living room. We are. By the way, guys, we're doing our mask thing. We're complying. We're complying. We just removed our mask right before. So we were in the living room trying to to come up with a set list, and then I was telling Dennis there's so many things that I can ask a musician of his caliber, and with all this versatility under his belt and all that. But one thing that perhaps it's one of the hardest things to address, but I know that he does it, and I know that he commands it, and I know he's going to be able to inspire you, is the fact that Dennis has managed to process all these influences that we know as keyboard players. We have all these available iconic influences, and it's hard for keyboard players to escape from the becoming a little bit of a clone or too much of a tribute guy to a certain strong voice. But Dennis, in my humble opinion, is one of those keyboard players that has managed to process all these ingredients and come up with his own recipe. And I'm talking in cooking terms because I'm so hungry, and we're gonna cook some really heavy stuff after this. But I would like Dennis to explain first, in very lay terms, what would be his process, or what was his process when he was coming up with this concoction, and then maybe in deeper terms for the musicians watching this transmission, what would be his more like hands-on things that he does in order to guarantee that he's gonna filter the essence of a certain voice but come up with his own personal take.
Wow. Well, first, I definitely feel the same way about you. I feel like you have a unique voice that is amazing, and I love listening to your playing. I knew about you before you moved down to LA.
Oh well, because you might have seen all my movies, my home movies, leaked into the internet, maybe. No, just kidding.
No, that came later.
That was at the post office.
So I don't really feel like I have or had a method for developing a sound or a voice. I feel like it's important. It's important for it to kind of just be an organic process of pursuing, exploring music that you love and artists that you love, and I don't know, if you're trying to sound like someone, then you're probably going to end up bastardizing it, if that's a word, somehow. But I guess just doing it for the love of what you're hearing, and focusing on that joy that it brings you. I feel like that can't do you wrong, and Yeah.
Well, one thing, yeah, that's you know, first of all, the love of it has to be like the main ingredient. Otherwise, we would be doing an office job. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it would be very much like a cubicle, a cubicle kind of job. So
Right.
there's got to be the love. You got to love what you. But for instance, uh, one figure that has inspired us all has been, for instance, Joe Zawinul. And however, Joe Zawinul has been a label, a brand that many players we carry, but some of us have managed to kind of like apply some extra coating of other stuff so that it's not so obvious, and then we can access that. I know that although my main influences as a keyboard players are others, I know that I can go to Joe Zawinul and I know what I got from Joe Zawinul, and I can probably do an impersonation of Joe Zawinul, or different degrees of bringing that element into my playing, right?
Right.
But the way you do it, for instance, is I hear some of it and then not, you know, because you manage to, for instance, to through not only the phrasing but also the sound programming, you manage to keep just a little bit of that hint, but at the same time, it's just these are sounds that are yours, you know.
That's interesting because I feel like maybe part of that has to do with similar tools, the synthesizers and stuff that we use. But honestly, I haven't spent that much time immersed in like his music, or I certainly haven't transcribed his stuff, and I love it, but I haven't invested that much time into it. But then again, like we were talking earlier, how sometimes we get compared to other
yeah, I know.
other artists, other musicians, and we're like, oh, you know what? I actually have never heard that. I've never listened to him, and yet they're like, man, you sound just like him. But
Yeah.
I attributed that to the fact that we all. I mean, maybe I've listened to a bunch of players that have spent a lot of time listening to those other players. And I really strongly feel like we're going to sound like what we listen to more than what we practice.
Yeah.
And if we're doing it right, our listening is informing us, is informing our decisions. And so that's why I really like being an active listener to what I'm doing too. I try to never unconsciously touch the keyboard, and it's always and if I do, in a moment of creative like playfulness, exploring, maybe trying to get away from my habits, try to really pay attention to what it was, and you know, like having a conversation with yourself, like validating and exploring and repeating and validating, and just it's an active listening type of thing. And I think it's the same concept is maybe true with listening to other artists playing and stuff.
Yeah, that's a great answer. When you say that, you know, we end up playing as what we listen, not necessarily what we practice. But I would go a little further. You know, I usually tell people that we are a result of all our baggage, or all our cultural baggage, especially if you come from a different culture. You know, I see a lot of people denying that, like really neglecting their cultural thing. And at the end, I tell them that's what's going to make you unique, not the other stuff. The other stuff is a copy. You're copying something that's been done. So what is really relevant is what you're going to bring to the mix, which is exactly that.
Right.
Yeah. So, but in a case of someone like you that is like, you know, born and raised here, is what you have listened, but not only in the realm of, in the specific realm, stylistic realm that we're talking about. It's everything, everything, because as you well know, when you're playing with an artist like Thundercat, you have to channel other stuff that you have listened to. It's not only it's not only the straight ahead. It's not only the Sábado. It's not only the Keith Jarrett. I mean, there's so much other stuff going on there, other aesthetics and other styles. So
yeah, and his music, and he's so, pushing like new directions that it's almost like there's nothing to draw from, like, specifically. It's almost like you got to dig deep with him and try to evolve and create something with him that's nowhere near a copy of anything else you've heard. That's how I approach that gig anyway.
Yeah, and it's a gig that definitely will require someone very, very well informed and with a very open mind, musically.
And that's a good segue for this instrument, because I've recently discovered this instrument, this synthesizer, and I feel like it's really unique and super expressive and stuff. And I thought it would be perfect to play on the Thundercat live show because of that. And
yeah, I remember when I sometimes I'm looking at you, but I'm also looking at
you can see me on the
So I always try to make sure that everything is running smooth. So sorry about that. But I remember going to the booth when this instrument just came out for the first time. They were showing this prototype and going to the booth, and rarely we get. I mean, we are there at the NAMM show every year, and pretty much everything has been refried, and then once in a while you see an instrument like this. Unfortunately, I don't have a bird's view of this instrument, but I tell you, it's a beauty. Not only the way it sounds and the capabilities in terms of programming and processing, but the interface, the way it looks, is just beautiful. And it was designed by a German company, and I believe.
You have his business card still?
Yeah. I was cleaning the studio because my studio looks like the Bermuda Triangle studio. Everything disappears and everything appears magically and stuff. So I found the one card that I saw on the floor was the Nonlinear Labs, which are the people that actually do this, make these instruments. They're great, and the instrument is the C15. Is their new keyboard, and well, I just did a
there you go
plugged it. Shameless plug-in.
Yep.
But what I was gonna say is that it is a very organic sound instrument, and I also love, like, this kind of instruments where you can make it sound like you.
Yeah, it's super expressive. You use pedals a lot to change the sound, and it's really strange playing a synth. I don't really dig synth sounds, traditional like solo sounds, and it's really hard for me to get enjoyment out of a synth patch. I was using just out of necessity, for many years, playing with a bunch of different artists, I would use Yamaha Motif to they're available to rent everywhere, and whenever you fly to a gig, and you can always get the same thing for sure. So I spent a long time like trying to stack layers of sounds on top of each other, trying to find the right patches and stuff to build on that thing, just to be somewhat happy. But but this thing is another level of expressivity, and it's mainly due to the foot pedal control. I'll just demonstrate for a second.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you can hear it.
Yeah.
I'm changing the reverb color and the length and a bunch of other things with this pedal. The other one I've got some vibrato. And then aftertouch, I've got some pitch, just slight. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
And then this...
like a little, almost like microtonal.
This is a super expressive pitch bend. And then the touch sensitivity too for volume, for velocity, also affects the tone too, so that you can assign all these things.
Nice.
So, yeah, we're always trying to find ways as a keyboardist to be more like a vocalist or a horn or something. And this for me, that's this instrument.
That's great. And I have a question for you. I mean, I know I told you I would never put anybody in the spot, but you know, this is unscripted. This is not part. But I'm just curious, personally curious, because the working as a keyboard player is a job description that has morphed through the last few years, right?
Right.
And then at one point, a keyboard player was in. I guess there are still some jobs that demand the keyboard player to be the orchestral guy. Oh, you're going to be doing strings. I guess you did many of those. Oh, you're a strings guy, or you're going to be
auxiliary player.
Yeah, the brass guy. You're going to be so, or the woodwinds. I did a lot of those, you know, shows where I only had to play like a bassoon and a flute, and then you know. So, when was the last time that you took a job like that? Do you still do those kind of jobs? Or have you embraced the new?
I've always kind of resisted those jobs. I've resisted them occasionally. A few times someone's gotten me to do that, where I bring a second keyboard. You got some brass sounds, you got some
very specific sounds.
Can you bring another keyboard? And I'm like, oh, maybe. But man, I kind of have avoided that. I've been able to kind of avoid that.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
Yeah, it's a hard thing, you know. By the way, both jobs descriptions require a lot of caring and a lot of training, and a lot of programming.
That said, though, it is really fun to think while you're. I feel like there's some gigs where you're playing and you're thinking like a producer, and you get to kind of orchestrate on the gig. I really like creative situations where I don't have to like stick to parts, but I can kind of help, you know.
Well, yeah, that's
produce.
That's yet
sounds.
Another kind of job that are also very ideal.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you one name that you might know, but it's one of my favorite cats. I mean, and I don't want to say that that's his specialty, because maybe I'm insulting him. but I'll tell you, that's one of the things that I admire the most of him. His name is Tom Hall. Are you familiar with that name?
Not so much.
Tom Hall has been playing keyboards with George Benson for ages, like decades. And he's the guy that, even back like 20 years ago, when we used to do gigs together, tours together with different bands, and I would be in awe just looking at the guy in doing. I mean, sometimes they would do stuff with big bands, and then sometimes no big band. He was the big band. But even 25 years ago, he would have. He's the first guy that I saw with a keyboard, with not only doing different splits, multiple splits, but also different layers. So he had every nuance of the brass, for instance, and all he had like trombones, tenor saxes, trumpets, and the trumpets had like multi-layer. It was incredible.
And that guy is personally responsible for George Benson's, the majority of his profits over the years because he didn't have to hire an
Oh, exactly.
orchestra.
Yeah.
Or,
I hope he's been commanding that
Right.
great salary, right?
Right.
But I know he's a great keyboard in his own right. But you know, I used to do a lot of those kind of jobs, and
Yeah.
what I found out is that at one point I realized, wow, you know, it's so good when you can come up with a setup, and then you can
handle that.
and you can personalize a series of, of banks of sounds, and have people call you for your sounds. You know, that is a great feeling. And then,
Right.
And unfortunately, technology keeps
Yeah.
you know. So every
couple of years,
yeah, every couple of years, you have to do the same thing with a new different setup. It's hard to catch up.
Right.
You know. But man, you are doing it. I mean, and you know, Dennis. One of the most recent things that he was involved on was Protocol, right?
Yeah, Simon Phillips.
And yeah, Simon Phillips, and which is you know, thanks to Dennis, I got to do the subsequent tours to the recording. But he's the one in the recording, and the sounds in the recording are so organic and so great. And that was, you put me in the spot. Actually, I told you the first time I saw you, it's so hard to be you.
Oh man. Well,
what did you use for that recording?
What was that? Okay, well, I think some of the solo sounds were Rob Pappin's Blue soft synth.
Oh,
I think that might have been one of the solo sounds. And I don't remember if at that point I had, I think some of Spectrasonic's Rhodes, but I used my actual Rhodes for the recording. We recorded the whole thing in the studio live.
Yep.
Live takes, and then did some overdubs. So
yeah,
it was pretty much Rhodes and a couple of soft synths.
How about all the sweetening, all the padding and
The
all
pads?
the,
Oh man, trying to remember. Oh, I did have a Prophet.
Yeah, they sounded quite fat, you know.
I think it was a Prophet 12 that I was using, and then I think there may be some Omnisphere on there too.
Yeah, they sounded like really
Spectrasonics. Yeah,
and that's one of the things about jumping into doing an already working repertoire that has been just recorded. It's like when you go on tour, you need to pretty much do that, you know.
Yeah, you have to.
It's not only learning a lot of notes. I mean, for those of you who know Simon's music, there's a lot of notes, a lot of math involved. You know, different metrics and.
Yeah.
But there's also the programming, you know. So if you want to do your homework right, you have to do everything, you know. So wow, man, let's do a little bit of more. Yeah, let's do this. I mean, this is one of my favorites, and I haven't played it in a long time. So
let's see what.
Oh, I've been having this title here. You know, I hope you are having a good listening experience. I recommend always listening with headphones, right? It's hard to deliver some of these frequencies through just the speaker of your phone. So headphones always work. And we're going to play just one more song. Okay, great. Yay! Wow, that was a lot of fun. I had not played this tune
In a minute.
in a long time.
You sound like you played it,
Oh,
like you
geez.
wrote it.
No, man. You know, it's a fun tune. You know, but as they say, it plays itself. Well, there's a little bit of homework involved, I guess, at some point. But you know, it's one of those songs that's so beautifully crafted, right? The progression, just
Yeah.
you know, beautiful stuff, and without really planning it, we took this song to some South American Brazilian vibe, and then I take the opportunity to welcome all our friends that are tuning in from Brazil, from Venezuela, from Chile. Sometimes we have people from Argentina tuning in. Muchas gracias por estar con nosotros, de verdad. Es un placer siempre tenerlos por acá. Siempre leemos sus comentarios y ya luego vamos también a incluir sus preguntas, las preguntas que nos vayan lanzando por ahí por el chat. Nosotros vamos a ir leyéndolas y tratando de contestarlas dentro del tiempo que tenemos. A nossos amigos no Brasil, obrigado por assistir nosso live. People in Japan right now, they're having breakfast and they're having great music. So listen, these things are not one of the things that I wanted to really be proud of is bringing a series in which people would get actual substance from the guests, and that's one of the reasons why I don't like talking about childhood and about this or about that.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to really get a piece of your mind, right?
Right.
And so musicians that are listening, people that are listening that feel really challenged and intellectually interested in this thing, you know how to show us your love. That's it. That's the donations button right there.
Right.
I want to make sure that Dennis goes back home with a full belly and pay for his time. And we've arrived to the portion of the program in which I get to admire your techniques as a gambler. I know that Bakersfield is famous for their card manipulation techniques. So you have a deck of cards there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So show me your best shuffle.
Oh no, I have no shuffle skills.
Show me your Bakersfield.
I'd love to see yours though, because I know you get invited to Magic Castle occasionally. Is that right? Is that your?
Yeah, in a previous life, I used to double as a magician, but it's been a while,
Is that just because someone heard you say when they asked you what you did for a living, they thought you said magician when you said musician?
Yeah, probably.
Is that what happened?
No, I'm the little kid that grew up with a magic kit and wanted to really go for it.
So, and then you just picked a similar career where you deceive others into thinking.
I keep telling people, music is smoke and mirrors.
Did you hear that? That was horrible.
Yeah.
That was like probably about three cards got shuffled. Three groupings.
That's okay.
Oh, so I see the code. You have these questions with
You see, and now you see where
spades and
yeah,
clubs.
There you have it. Yeah.
I was like, what does this stand for? Okay.
Okay, so
I'm picking.
let's pick one card. Like
One card.
The first question.
It's a 3. Can everyone see?
3 of clubs?
3 of clubs.
Man, everybody's been getting that question lately. What's going on?
It's rigged.
It's not rigged. It's not. 3 of clubs. Oh well, you're gonna like this.
Uh-oh.
But I mean, you're a guy with integrity. I will never question your integrity. I am not. I told in the previous show my story. 3 of clubs. Have you ever made a silly excuse to get out of a tight musical situation? Like sometimes the brass players blame it on the valve or the lip or I forgot my glasses, whatever. Have you ever made up a
silly
very
excuse.
bad excuse to get out?
Silly excuse. Oh, well, I have a kind of a story that goes with. I don't know if this is an excuse. I think there was an artist that thought I was making an excuse.
Okay, that counts.
But I wasn't actually making an excuse. So, I did have a sandwich in my hand.
It already sounds like a joke setup. There's a punchline.
I had a sub sandwich in my hand. I may have been chewing as well during the song where I'm playing. Should I name the artist? It was.
Well, you don't have. If you don't feel like.
I don't have. The song was. It was Sheila E.'s. What is it? What's her famous? What's her hit? I think I blocked this out of my memory on purpose.
You deleted the RAM.
There's a. I always get it confused with "Don't You Wish Your Girlfriend Was Hot Like." I always get it confused with that song, but it's anyway. There's a horn part, and I had speaking of programming, I had programmed it to be layered, like 4 horn patches with one of them's an octave apart. It's like 3 octaves of horns when you play a single note, and I did that because there's part of the song where I have to play some other parts with my left hand on a different keyboard, and I got to play this horn line. It's a famous horn line. Very important to her, who was, it was a Jonathan Butler, the amazing South African guitarist, singer, and Sheila E. was doing a couple songs with us for an event, or a festival, and so we're in the middle of this song, and I've got my sandwich, and we get to the middle of the song where there's that horn line's happening, but there isn't anything else happening except for that horn line. For my parts, that's all I had to do at that point of the song. And I may have had a sandwich in my hand at that point, and I'm playing the horn line, and she stops the band.
Oh.
And she says, "Hey, yeah, you need to use both hands for that part. That's a really, it's a crucial part. You got to use both hands." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I didn't try to explain that I had the patch set up to sound like 4 hands.
Yeah.
We just okay. I'll put the sandwich down. So she thought my sandwich was my excuse for not playing her music right. And then from that point forward, the rest of the band members called me 2 Hands Hamm. From 2 Hands Sam, 2 Hands Hamm. It kind of rolls off the tongue.
Wow. Well, that's
there it is.
I thought, but that is a happy ending to keyboard's nightmare. And you know what is the one that I'm gonna tell? Perhaps keyboard players, musicians all over. Sometimes we do mistakes, or sometimes we come up in the wrong place. Like a saxophone player would come like 1 bar earlier, or like would come up with but with the wrong part. They are in a different part of the song. Whatever that happens. That can happen. Or as a pianist, you might, play the wrong chord, but still it's the right sound. But the unique nightmare of keyboard players is having to play a very specific sound, a very specific subtle sound, and then having that full orchestra hit instead from the previous tune still on. And that is perhaps one of the most embarrassing
that's
things. I mean, and that happens to most of us at some point or another.
But your question was about excuses, and there is no excuse.
Yeah.
There, even though that's definitely happened to me many times, but there's no excuse.
There's no excuse.
No, you gotta know your acts and know how to handle it.
Well, I have an interesting one, but I mean, it's again, there's no excuse. But one time I was playing a show in New York, and I had this synth solo that was like really featured, right? And the guy actually, it was not like that casual. I mean, the guy actually went to the side and then did like this, and pointed at me. It was
spotlight.
Yeah. And and we had rental keyboards like we usually do. They rent the keyboards for us. So, and I made sure to program everything and the sounds were right. But I didn't go into the global parameters, which we rarely do, because if it is in tune, that's it. That's usually what we go into global for, right? Make sure that the sustain works and the tuning. Those are the parameters that are usually in the global menu.
Right.
There's one more parameter that is usually in the global menu that I didn't see that day. And right before going on stage, they told me, in the first row, Liza Minnelli is checking out the show. And I mean, I'm a big fan of Liza Minnelli. So it's like, wow, so here comes my spotlight, boom. And then I hit the sound that I want. I'm sure the sound is right, but I'm playing different keyboards, right? I'm comping and but I have this solo sound ready, and I hit transpose. And the transposing is that other parameter that is usually in the global. And the transposing was not set to an octave. It was set to a major third or something like that. So I did the solo. And it was the most 12-tone oriented solo I've ever done in my life. And it was a beautiful song. But when I started playing, I mean, there's no way in the spur of the moment, and as much as you want to think about it, there's no way your brain will tell you which one of the keyboards is wrong. Because you're looking at your fingers playing the notes you want, but there's something that is not.
Yeah.
So I did the whole solo like that.
Did you transpose in your head?
I didn't. It did. No, I
didn't register.
I mean, I had no idea what interval I was.
Wow.
So that was it. And then the other part of the story is the guy, the leader, afterwards, after the show, in the in the intermission, telling me that next time we play this song, can you play it more inside?
Right. That's some polytonal harmony.
Can you choose maybe a different way to play this song?
How courteous and diplomatic of him.
Yeah. He was like really cool about it. He thought I was really going for it, like being adventurous. So, no excuse either. About that.
I have a tuning story similar to that, but it didn't involve me, and I felt really bad about it. Didn't involve me on stage, but it involved someone else. So we did a sound check. I was playing with Nowhere, with Louis Cole and Genevieve Artadi's group. We were doing the jazz festival in Florida, and we did a sound check right after. Our sound check was right after Robert Glasper's trio or quartet's sound check. So we come in, and for some reason I'm using the same keyboard as him. And normally we'll have, different rental keyboards. We don't touch it. We don't touch someone else's acts, even if they're rentals, they're separate.
Yeah.
So we don't mess anything up. But for some reason, we were sharing this Yamaha, and when I load my patches into the Yamaha from a little USB stick, for some reason it's a corrupted file or something. I can't figure out why, but it always detunes the keyboard a quarter step.
Ouch. Yeah.
So I always have to remember to fix that, like right before, during sound check at some point. Well, I don't know why, but we didn't really get a long sound check, or I never got around to fixing that. And then Robert Glasper played before us, and I was watching, and for a good half of the first song, he's trying to play his Rhodes sound, and it just sounds out, and everyone's looking around like, what is... And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, dude.
So you want to be carrying your own trap door so you can disappear.
Right, exactly. But
Wow.
No one has heard that. No one knows that. Maybe a couple of my friends know that. So from now on,
but you see,
I'm probably going to get...
This is why these shows are so important, because this is a moment of atonement, you know?
Atonement.
Yeah, this is your moment in which you're going to say, hey, Robert.
Yeah.
Hey, Robert.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so
so very sorry.
Hey, Liza.
It was me.
Hey, Liza, if you are watching this, I don't play that weird.
What I want to say to Robert, I'm so sorry that Yamaha has made a keyboard that just screws up, is easily corrupted. Their data files are just so easily corrupted. I'm sorry for Yamaha, on Yamaha's behalf.
So listen, let's pick a second card. Let's pick another
Okay,
card.
another card.
Let's see
Here
if
we
we
go.
can...
I'm going for the middle. Ooh. I got 7.
7 of diamonds.
Diamonds.
Okay, 7 of diamonds. Oh, man.
What?
You nailed it.
Oh.
By the way, guys, this is 2 random, really true diamonds. That's 7 of diamonds right there, okay? I'm not making this up, but we were just talking about this, so now you can set the record straight. Have you ever been compared as a compliment to someone you have never listened to or cared about? Have you ever how have you reacted? Have you played along, or have you corrected the person and say, "Hey, I hate that guy"? Or something?
Yeah, that's happened a lot. I'm sure it's happened a lot to you.
Hey, yeah.
When I first came down to LA, people would often say, "Oh, you must have listened to a lot of Keith Jarrett." And I'm like, and I never played it off. I never played along. I kind of just, it's like, you know what? I have to check out some more of his stuff. I have a couple of his albums and haven't spent that much time with him. So, yeah, but like I said, I think it's because maybe some of the cats I did listen, some of the younger cats I listened to did spend a lot of time with Keith.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, it happens. You know, it happens.
We don't live in a vacuum.
People are truly trying to compliment you, but sometimes they compare you with. Actually, I mean, ideally they compliment you with someone that you like, but sometimes they compliment you, compare you to someone you don't like.
Yeah,
and that's even worse. So
it can be.
Sometimes, of course, being Latino, being from a Latin American country. Guess what? They tell me, "Oh, you sound so much like this guy, or like this other guy, and like this other guy." And then the way I've been going around about it is telling them, we're about the same age, right? Yeah, and we
about
all
the same height.
Yeah,
about the same
not really. We went through like a classical conservatory. Yeah, and we come from Latin American countries, right? Yeah, chances are we're gonna play pretty much similar stuff,
Yeah, but coming from Bakersfield, it's everyone who comes from Bakersfield that plays jazz has absorbed it from recorded sources.
Yeah,
there's a few. I can't think of too many. I think Gregory Porter originally from Bakersfield.
Gregory Porter's from
Bakersfield? I think he may have come up there, possibly. Korn. But they're not jazz at all. Buck Owens and Yeah, but when you mentioned culture, like you sound like your culture, I felt like I came up and had to like explore cultures to even know what culture meant.
Well, yeah,
Coming up in
yeah, but I mean, culture is everything. Culture is everything. There's
But some places have
stronger, more
culture,
defined,
more defined cultures.
Yeah. But culture is everything, and culture to me is.
What about lack of culture? Is that can that be defined as an entity that can influence you?
If you want,
or maybe
if you want to sound like. Let me see someone that I think sounds like lack of culture. Let's pick another question.
Okay, one more.
I gotta get out of that predicament right now.
Okay, here we go. This is horrible. I can't shuffle.
Hey, that's the drunk guy shuffle.
Oh man, that's another 3 of hearts.
3 of hearts.
Mm-hmm.
3 of hearts. Right here.
I'm gonna love this one.
3 of here. I'm not making this up. It's totally okay. Okay, this is beautiful. This is beautiful, and you're the first one who gets this, but this is one of the first questions that I thought about.
Conceptualized.
Okay.
Okay. It's
important to me. Is there someone that has influenced you from your inner circle of people, friends, or that you have never had the chance to truly acknowledge or to thank for?
Yeah, I mean, immediately there's a couple people in my inner circle that, I mean, Flying Lotus and Thundercat both have kind of opened my eyes and my ears up to what I just kind of a general concept of what music is, and when it comes to like finding your voice, or I'll tell you, Flylo does. He's an amazing producer and DJ who I think of as very organic, even though a lot of especially producers, a lot of DJ producers they take samples and other music and snippets and kind of create something new out of it. But his process is so organic, it's almost like, I don't know, like Jay Dilla, or like, they treat it more like they're instrumentalists. They treat their producing tools like their instruments, and that made me think about how we kind of do that as well. Like when we take pieces of people that we listen to, musicians that we listen to, instrumentalists, and we absorb it and reproduce it or copy it, or it's okay to do that. You don't have to play something completely original that you come up with yourself. Because you just have to listen to a lot of people and put a lot of different things together, maybe that other people wouldn't have necessarily put together. And what makes you unique is the fact that you've spent time listening to different people than anyone. Your listening experience is unique.
Yeah.
That's the main thing that makes you unique. So you don't have to try to sound unique. You just have to keep exploring and
keep open.
And keep open, listening to the stuff that excites you. And anyway, so Flying Lotus and Thundercat and the way they make music together. There's another part that Thunder and Flylo together, when they record, they use a lot of first takes. Like if that's how you heard it and that's how you're feeling it the first time, or I mean, there's so many times that I've recorded with Flylo and I'm like, let me get another pass, and you're like, no, you got it. Like that was it. I'm like, man, I'm still learning the song. I'm trying to figure out what the changes are. He's like, no, that was great.
I've been there.
But that's part of the secret of being organic
Yeah.
and
usually there's a reason.
honest.
Usually there's a reason for it. After you listen to it,
Yeah, you can overproduce.
yeah, you can, and you get too self-critical, and you start self-editing yourself, and
Yeah.
But how about an early instructor that you had at some point,
Yeah.
that you really like watched
Absolutely.
carefully and lifted something, and then maybe
Well-
eventually you. I mean, we all make it our own. God knows I have my guys that I always acknowledge. I say, man, I stole from this guy almost. I mean, everything, and then with the years, you refine it and you make it your own. So, is there a guy that you took ideas from that you never had the chance to tell him, hey man, I took this from you?
I had a piano teacher when I was like 9, 10, 11 years old that showed me the blues scale, F blues scale. And his name was Robert, and I don't remember his last name, but I think I played the F blues scale for the next 5 years and nothing else. And realized, oh, if you learn a scale, you can play fast, and you can just use those notes, and they're going to sound good.
Yeah.
And you can. So that was my introduction to exploring.
Yeah.
And
That opened a window.
giving you a freedom to explore. And so that, I think I owed that was like the mind opening thing. And then a few years later, the professor at Cal State University, Bakersfield, he's a piano player, and I think he was head of the department, or maybe he wasn't at that time. Doug Davis.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed me some modal stuff. He showed me the D Dorian
Mm-hmm.
Fourths,
Yeah.
and then take it up to the black notes and play the E flat Dorian, and then
Sidestep. That's called sidestepping, right?
yeah. And so that was like next level of harmony in the same realm of like the F blues showed me some place to explore. So those, but anyway, he showed me a lot more than that over the years. But I was 13 years old or something.
Yeah,
like
but
that.
those kind of
moments.
nuggets are decisive in one's ability to open that window and start exploring.
Just a simple little thing like that. And so it just made me realize, even when teaching students too, that you can, little nuggets like that can go a long way. And just little tricks that you can use to open doors.
Yeah, well, the reason why this question is important to me is, first of all, very rarely, and you know this, very rarely musicians acknowledge stuff that they get and where they get it from.
Mm-hmm.
And there's sometimes like a trend to either over mystify things or downplaying things. But nobody says, oh yeah, I got that from this guy.
Right.
I just changed this and I changed that, which is what actually happens most of the time.
Everything we do.
Everything we do is that. Everything, you hear something like, let's say, in my case, a chicoria, and then, wow, what is that? I want to know what is that. And then you isolate it, and then, you find the core of what it makes it, why it sounds like that, and then you make your own.
Right. But you might listen to me explain what I like about this thing that I took from Chick, and then you listen to Chick explain the same thing, and he's going to say something different about
exactly.
why he does it or where he got it. Or
well, because in a way it's a little bit, the way I describe it is like we are like, remember, I'm going to date myself, but at some point in humankind history, there was artifacts called Xerocopiers, right? The Xerox machines.
Oh, right.
And then every time you did a Xerox copy from a Xerox copy, it was
a little different.
Different.
Yeah,
and it was more, it degenerated. Or when you copy a cassette from a cassette to a cassette many times, at the end, the last cassette, the fourth cassette tape was terrible.
And that's more like degrading rather than the evolution is more. It's a little more like mutating genes that are evolving and
yeah, but wouldn't you agree to the fact that most of what makes us who we are the way we deal with our mistakes? There's a certain truth to that. Because as I said, I mean, what I do is no more sophisticated or no more refined than where I got it from. It's just my understanding of it.
well, it also it depends on how you think of the mistakes, how you like you can think of them as opportunities for
Exactly.
for
Especially when you're improvising.
yeah.
Most people say, "Oh, jazz musicians only play mistakes." No,
Well, that goes into that's part of active listening.
Yeah.
Where you I used to think, it was only recently I actually kind of changed my thought about what that means and what mistakes are, but I'm almost switching back and forth really fast while I'm improvising between intentional singing, like trying to play exactly what I'm hearing in my head, and moments of allowing myself to explore. And I said that earlier, but those moments where you can explore, those are the moments where you allow the mistakes.
Yeah.
They're not mistakes. Yeah. They're explorations.
Well, explorations, yeah, but because in exploration there's always failure, but you recover. The recovery is what makes that mistake or that failure so much valid. You know, the recovery, and when you do this, and when this gets documented, and someone else copies it, that's where I'm going.
Right.
He's reproducing, he's learning
that process.
A second generation of that mistake.
Right. So there's so maybe that's over theorizing it. It's over. I don't know. To me, it could sometimes. I've seen people explain transcriptions. You know, they transcribe a solo and they describe everything that was going on, and
they want to rationalize everything that's going on.
Yeah. And that's important. That's good to know, so that if you want to be able to reproduce the sound and know what it relates to, everything relates to and stuff. But I rarely will watch someone describing their transposition of something. Not transposition. Transcription of somebody, and describe it in a way that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Like.
And
you know, because we all have different interpretations.
One of the things that I hear, that I see a lot, is like, as you said, people try to find an explanation why this guy did. Oh, this is so genius, and you realize, what if that just happened? There was no purpose for it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, chromaticisms that happen,
but you're
that
right.
People want to find a reason, and it's like, it just happened. It was, you know.
But if you are the kind of listener that really analyzes in depth, you know, and tries to figure out why it sounds good, even if it was a mistake or it was just an exploratory moment, then you can really develop like something new, maybe. That sounds super intentional and I think that's kind of how music evolves, is when we do that. But my favorite thing about playing music is the live moment and expressive moments in the moment, playing live, and that's I feel like
wonderful, man. Let's play another tune, and then after this tune we're gonna open up. Hopefully we're gonna have a little bit of time to answer to some questions from the audience. Let's do do you want to skip, because we're almost almost 1.5 hours? Which one would you like to do between these two?
Let's see. What do we have? What was it? That Ellis tune, and then we got what was the other one?
The standard novel Cherokee.
Oh yeah, Cherokee. Yeah, we can do Cherokee, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Smooth Cherokee.
No. Smooth is stricken from your vocabulary in English, Spanish, and at the keyboard.
I'll say in Spanish. I'll say smooth.
Okay.
All right.
What do we, let's see. Go through a few different sounds on here.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, this is definitely a departure from
Where we've
from
been.
all the other versions I've heard of this song. That was Cherokee by Novel Ray. And then it seems like we have some questions. Do we have some questions? Yay!
You guys sound great.
Thank
First
you.
of all, yes, I have a few questions for Dennis. So, what are Thundercat rehearsals like? And I'm going to say
Yeah.
all of them,
Oh,
and
sure,
then I
sure.
can close the door.
Sure.
Okay? How do you usually go about incorporating new concepts into your playing? And the third question: what album has inspired you to play the keyboard and to start programming sounds? And if you can give some.
Programming sounds.
Yes.
Album. Oh my
Good
goodness.
luck.
Okay.
Wow.
You see,
So yeah.
we've been under the microscope
I
all
know.
this time.
Wow. Okay. So Thundercat rehearsals are like a lot of jamming, a lot of just playing together, a lot like having fun, like the exploring stuff. Yeah, that's all happening at rehearsals. It's almost like that band is allergic to rehearsing, so we try to avoid playing anything that we've done at rehearsal on the stage. So no, but I mean, obviously to learn the songs from the albums and stuff, the way, but it's very free. He's super into just being creative and even interpreting the album really creative ways. So and we're just a trio, so it's really fun just to be creative, and he allows that space. It's great. Yeah, that was a little window into rehearsal. What was another one? Trying to advance or
How do you
propel
incorporate your new concepts into
new
your
concepts. I mean, that usually just involves listening to new music, right? Like trying to discover new music that you're into, which is going to inform your concept. And if you spend enough time with that music and get OCD with it and get obsessive about it, where it's like getting that song nugget stuck in your head and playing it over and over and over again hundreds of times, and that's going to change your concept. You're going to start reproducing. You're going to start playing that what you hear. So I think that's the best way to change your concept. Or is that what the word was? Concept? Was that part of the question?
Incorporate new concepts.
Incorporate new concepts. Yeah.
How about a recording that really has hit you really hard and made you go into like overdrive in your practice and your sound programming?
Was that specific to sounds, like certain sounds? That's tough because sound programming. Man, I mean, more so in I'm trying to learn production, so more so in there's some albums that I've really dug. I mean, man, Anderson .Paak and his project with Knowledge. I think what's that song? Scared Money. That album that they did. It's like 3 of them that did this collaborative album. I love those like retro synth sounds that they get on that. So that one was probably pretty influential for me. It's hard to think of specific albums that did that though.
Yeah.
I mean when it comes to sound programming, that's like a different thing.
How about like
I have a lot of albums that influenced my piano playing.
Any specific like keyboardist that has influenced you in your programming, in your way to want to channel a specific kind of modulation, or if it's specific kind of filter management, in your gear?
That's tough because I rarely find sounds that I like from other people playing synths and from my own experiments with synths. So, I mean, I really love what Scott Kinsey, what the sounds he gets out of the Moog 1.
Ah,
he gets some.
I haven't seen him with the Moog.
That new instrument, with his abilities, is something else.
Well,
so.
a big shout out to
Scott Kinsey
because he got me out of the I was deep in the mud to here when I was going to do the protocol thing, and I wanted to approach some of these sounds as organic as I could, and I wanted to be able to recreate your sounds from the recording into my Nord setup. And so at the moment I was absolutely lost. I was lost. So I actually
hit up your buddy Scott?
Nothing like delegating. I mean, there's nothing wrong with delegating. I just went and say, hey, Scott, I need a tutorial on this
because he knows the Nord really well.
Yeah, he knows them inside out. So I went to his place and he actually programmed some of the sounds.
Oh, nice.
Gave me a good template.
I would love to. I need to hit him if he's willing to do that.
A good template.
That's amazing.
I couldn't pay him with food though, but I wanted to make it worthwhile. So I actually hired him. So what he did is a template of those. That's the awesome. Core of the main sounds, and then after that I took a video, and then I went through it many times, and then I developed the skills. When you buy it, every company has their own little way of doing things. Mm-hmm. It's like, I would be absolutely lost with that interface that you have in front of you, because
it's a little learning curve.
Yeah, it's a lot of variables, right?
Because it's just software. I mean, they recently just did a firmware update that changed a lot of stuff. It pretty much there's a bunch of new stuff on here, but it's all the sounds are being produced by software. It's like running a version of Linux or something.
If any of the viewers want to get a better look at this axe, it's called the C15
by Nonlinear Labs.
By Nonlinear Labs in Berlin, and go visit their website. It's great. I believe Dennis has developed a demo for them, and it's a great axe. And we, believe it or not, we've been talking for almost
Almost 2 hours now?
almost 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
So, again, here's the donation information. Please, if you like what you're listening, and if you feel inspired, if you feel like you are really getting anything will help for to make this time worth while.
I'll be happy with your food, which I think we're gonna get to partake in.
Yes. In the best way to describe it is, I'm gonna cook my ass off for this guy.
You've been cooking for the last 2 hours.
Yeah, actually, I almost started a little war with my Italian friends. I love Italian food, and then I've compiled all these recipes throughout. We travel, and every region has the little thing. And then with the first guest that I had, I cooked this. It was a very good lasagna. Like top lasagna.
Top tier.
Yeah, top tier. And then as I was showing some of the pictures online, a friend of mine from Italy asked me, I hope you didn't forget to put such and such, and that's the one ingredient I didn't add. So there's always someone from the Italian food police.
That's not a real lasagna.
Yeah, but I want to give you my best shot at this thing that I'm really proud.
I'm looking forward to it.
So I want to thank everybody for being here, for your donations. Muito obrigado por assistir ao nosso live. We will continue this series hopefully in October. I'm going to take a quick break. I need to attend some different something that I have to develop. But hopefully I will continue in October with some more really incredible guests that are already in line. And hopefully the Facebook gods will descend from Mount Zuckerberg and grace us with their blessing to continue doing music. And in this case, some sharing music, sharing concepts, sharing education. We cannot share this without actually playing. So please be careful with what you do with the music community, because this is at the moment, and for the foreseeable future, that's what we have. So we need these platforms to stay open, these channels to stay open. All right. So we're gonna make up a blues, right?
Okay, sure. Let's do it.
Let's and then we will end with that. Thank you so much.
Thanks again, OTMARO, for doing this, man.
It's my pleasure, awesome. Man. I always wanted to, I'm always for sharing and for getting together and playing, but if we can document it, even better.
Even
right?
better.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. I'll be seeing the series continues in October. If the main guys up there allow it. All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Peace.